It's time to look at your money this morning, 6:20. And right now, one of the effects of the COVID pandemic was to change the dynamics of the traditional work environment. For millions of Americans, the pandemic suddenly allowed them to work from home.
According to data from Gallup, during the height of the pandemic in 2020, 70% of all remote eligible employees worked full time from home. But 6 years later, what is the current state of remote work in the U.S. labor market?
This morning, we've got our financial advisor, Mark Grevicheski, joining us, working remotely to break it down for us. How you doing, Mark?
A case in point. Great to see you both, Emma and Devin.
You do it so well, thank you. And what do you think is the biggest factor on the extent of remote work within our economy?
Before the pandemic, Devin, most companies really, let's be honest, didn't have a remote work policy at all. You simply showed up at the office 5 days a week. And even if the company was open to remote work, many just didn't have, the technologies and the systems in place to even offer it. But one of the side effects of the pandemic was that it forced this surge, not just in technological innovations, but also the adoption of those technologies within our lives, our work, and the broader economy. Look, every year technology kind of gradually becomes a bigger part of the economy. And experts argue the pandemic essentially fast forwarded that adoption of technology within our economy by about 5 to 10 years. Today, hey, a case in point, as long as you have a laptop and an internet connection, you can literally work anywhere in the world, including a nice, warm, sunny beach in the middle of winter.
Don't tempt me.
Yeah, good time.
So now that the pandemic is behind us, Mark, what percent of employees are still working from home in some capacity?
Not all employees obviously are capable of working remotely. If you're in, manufacturing, construction, a hospital nurse, you simply don't have the opportunity to work from home. The preferred gauge for measuring the extent of remote work has been to look at what's called remote capable jobs. These are jobs that simply can be performed remotely. Now, during the height of the pandemic in 2020, 94% of remote capable employees either worked fully remote from home or worked hybrid. In other words, some days of the week they'd work from home, the other days they drive into the office. Just 6% worked fully on site at their employer's office. But now that the pandemic is well behind us, we still see this large number of employees working from home in some capacity. Last year, just 21% of remote eligible employees worked full time at the office.
And over the past few years, there has been a push by some employers to force their employees back into the office on a full-time basis. How effective is that messaging been to get employees back into the office?
Yeah, look, this remote versus in-office debate, Devin, has become it's become a very difficult balancing act. Is a good way to put it for employers. But one thing is clear: employees as a whole are expressing their desire for some element of work from home capability, even if it's just a couple of days a week. Just 16% of job seekers said their top choice would include a fully on site job. Just 25% of job seekers would even accept a job if it was fully on site. 76% of employees, get a load of this, would look for a new job if their remote work was eliminated. And kind of what surprised me the most, 69% of employees would accept a pay cut to continue working remotely. So, look, some employers do feel it's essential because of their, the company or their industry for their employees to work 100% from the office. But, at the same time, many other employers are are using that option of remote work kind of as a competitive edge in both retaining and attracting those skilled workers.
Interesting. Like you mentioned, the pay cut was probably what surprised me the most because I don't know, you won't catch me taking a pay cut.
Right.
I'll say that.
Yeah. Those stats are so revealing, but I feel for myself, I wouldn't be productive working at home.
I mean, it'd be hard to get you on air for sure.
Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us, and we'll see you next Monday.
Emma, Devin, great seeing you both again. Enjoy the rest of your week. Take care.
You too.